We're here with a UFC 242 preview. Khabib versus Poirier. This is Lit Sports Online. And we got Gerald back to help us out.
Yeah, I'm back, man. It's just like my second home.
I think so, yeah.
Here on LitTube, this is my second home.
Sounds like it.
I think I've done this probably about, more times I've done the wrestling videos.
Yeah, I think there's more of these in the wrestling videos.
Probably.
For good reason.
Shit. All right. So, yeah, like you said, we're here for UFC 242, Khabib versus Poirier. First up in the undercard, dude. Andrea KGB Lee versus Jojo Calderwood. Top contender fight. Should be a fun striking match.
Yes, I'm really excited about this. Andrea Lee is a little more technical of a striker. Jojo Calderwood is a good brawler. But she's super fun to watch. Both women are, and I just wanted to mention it because it's whoever wins is definitely gonna have a top 5 fight next. Jojo Calderwood just lost to I can't remember who she lost to right at this moment, but she just lost like a top contenders fight, and so she's not far out of that top kind of 5 picture. So this is a big step for Andrea Lee, who's been looking for that top level fight, and it's kind of a make or break for Jojo, and whether she stays at the top or whether she's kind of fighting to work her way back up. But either way, it should be a really fun fight, and I have a super soft spot for Jojo Calderwood because she's Scottish, and I just love her.
Hey, what's not to love? Next up on the main card, we have Curtis Blaydes versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. I've totally butchered that.
Your guess is... Honestly, I just wanted to mention this one because Curtis Blaydes has been such a high-profile fighter as of late. He was in some big-name fights and recently just lost his kind of #1 contender fight. We'll see, but to Francis Ngannou. So really, it's a big name in heavyweight coming back who's looked impressive in most performances up to that last one, and it's him trying to stay in title contention, or it is a huge win for Abdurakhimov and puts him immediately in the conversation for a #1 contenders fight. So a big stage for a European fighter or a Russian fighter, I think actually in
Abdurakhimov.
And they're fighting in Abu Dhabi, so it's a good opportunity to get a win, and either guy is headed towards the top of the division with a victory in this fight, so it's an exciting one.
Now, that being said, who has more on the line?
Curtis Blaydes, for sure.
That's what I would think.
Because Abdurakhimov is a good fighter, but he doesn't have that name value right now, right? So if he loses, it's not that big of a deal. He can win a couple more fights and then get another fight like this, right? But if Curtis Blaydes loses to a guy that has a smaller name than him, especially after losing a fight that most people thought he should have or expected him to win against Francis Ngannou. A lot of people thought Stipe laid out the game plan to beat Francis Ngannou, and that Curtis Blaydes was going to come in and do something similar, but Ngannou ended up knocking him out in the first round, and Ngannou's in the title picture right now. So if Curtis Blaydes loses a couple fights in a row, it's one thing to lose to a big name guy who's about to fight for the title, and it's another thing to lose to an up and coming guy. This is a huge setback for Curtis Blaydes if he loses, so this is kind of a must win for him.
All right, now moving on to the next fight, Edson Barboza versus Paul Felder, rematch of the 2015 Fight of the Year contender.
Yeah, it was an amazing fight, that first one, man. And it's two strikers, first off. Paul Felder, they're very different strikers. Edson Barboza is a very technical Muay Thai fighter with probably the fastest and best kicks in the game. I mean, his highlight reel knockout, I've mentioned it every time I've talked about him because it's impossible not to mention, is his highlight reel knockout of Terry Edom with just a wheel kick to the dome is one of the scariest things ever. And that's what he's known for. He's I think he's the only fighter in history, save maybe Jose Aldo, to win a fight via leg kick KO body kick KO, and head kick KO.
Jeez.
And I think he has multiple wins by each different tactic. Maybe only one win by leg kick. But he's insane. The fastest switch kick in the game by far. Super entertaining fighter to watch. I love watching him fight. He last time we covered him, I think, was against Khabib, in which Khabib kind of dominated him. But this is a good, this is again like the Jojo Calderwood and Andrea Lee fight. This is kind of a whoever wins this fight is going to be in a #1 contender fight next, most likely. And in that division, in that lightweight division, that is both an exciting and terrifying place to be, because that is the deepest division, I think, by far. When you talk about getting to the top of the lightweight division, you're talking about facing Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson and Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier and Khabib and Al Iaquinta and Kevin Lee, who recently went up a little bit, so he may or may not be there. But then that division is insane. The top 10 is a shark tank of guys who could all beat any of the other guys on any given day, with the exception of Khabib, because most people cannot beat him. No one so far has been able to. But this is a really interesting fight, because Paul Felder is as tough
as nails,
hard-nosed as they come. He's one of those dudes who you land a shot on him, he doesn't take a step back. He tilts his head down a little more, and you see the anger come out in his eyes, and he walks right at you and tries to, he doesn't take one and let you get away with it. He wants to get two back for every one you take. And he will kick with Barboza, which we saw in the first fight. Barboza threw leg kicks, he threw leg kicks, he threw leg kicks, and then spinning back kicks off of it as Barboza was trying to back up. So he's trying to fight Barboza's game with what Barboza is good at, which is a good tactic for the most part. In most scenarios, when somebody is throwing a lot of leg kicks, one of the best defenses is throw leg kicks right back. It's hard to throw leg kicks if your leg is in an incredible amount of pain, especially if somebody's going to check it. And so that's what Felder did in the first fight. We might see him do that in this fight. I'm assuming we will. I'm hoping we'll see from him the best strategy is probably a little more pressure, get a takedown, make Barboza guess, so that Barboza doesn't get comfortable in his striking range and get to throw those insanely fast and insanely accurate and powerful kicks. But you never know what's going to happen. Barboza doesn't, neither of these guys really wants the fight of the night or the fight of the year contender. That means it was a hard fight. You both want just a definitive win. Yeah. But it again has the potential to be that same fight, man. Paul Felder is not getting out of there unless you force him out of there. And Barboza's just so good that you don't know if Paul Felder is going to be able to get through and actually take him out. And Barboza we have seen break in some senses. Khabib, he didn't put up much of a fight after a certain point with Khabib. We've seen other guys catch him with smaller shots and be able to enact a game plan against him, but it's not an easy feat. So I don't know if we'll see a drag-out fight that's a decision. If we'll see a knockout by Barboza. We can see a knockout by Felder. I mean, I think he has more power in his fist. It's a super entertaining, super fun fight, and both guys are charged up about it because their first fight was so good. And not only that, but they spent a lot of time training together after that first fight. So they know each other pretty intimately at this point, and it always makes for an interesting fight. I think based on what I saw in the countdown video, it seems to me kind of just the way they were talking about it. You're not supposed to talk about what happens in the gym, right? Yeah. But the way Felder was talking about it, saying something along the lines of like, whatever happened in those gym fights, I'm not allowed to try to hurt you. I'm not allowed to throw knees and elbows. And so it kind of makes me think, the way he talked about it made it sound like, I know Barboza got the better of me in the gym, but I wasn't actually able to cut loose, right? And so I wonder a little bit, based on how Felder was talking about it, not how Barboza talks about it, because Barboza doesn't really mention it. Felder mentions it. And it kind of seemed a little to me like maybe Barboza won those exchanges, and I'm interested to see if that is in the head a little bit, because we've seen that play out in other fights, like Donald Cerrone versus Melvin Gillard and things. And, you know, if one guy has the mental edge from a good gym session, that can make a huge difference, even if, you know, objectively skill-wise, the other guy holds an advantage. Not to say that's the case, but...
So in theory, it could be a very good fight against two fighters that know each other very well. But the match of the night that we're all here for, you already know what it is. Khabib versus Poirier, the unification of the lightweight title. Khabib, simply put, I'm just going to say he's a bad motherfucker. Holy shit. Undefeated, most dominant UFC fighter in modern times. Yo. This is going to be great. This is going to be great.
Khabib, to my recollection, has only lost one round in his UFC career. And that is for one of two reasons. Either A, McGregor had magic takedown defense in the third round of their fight, or B, Khabib decided he wasn't going to take McGregor down for a round. And got pieced up for sure. McGregor won that round. As everyone expected, if it was a striking match, McGregor was going to win. So the one round that Khabib let it be a striking match, McGregor won. That being said, when you talk about Khabib, that has been the consensus on every single fight. If it's a striking match, the other guy's going to win.
Yeah.
And so far, exactly none of them have been able to keep it a striking match for any sort of significant period of time, with the exception of Al Iaquinta. And Al is an amazing fighter, amazing takedown defense, amazing grappling game. I think Khabib didn't have as much respect for him because he's a lower ranked fighter as it does I think, again, it was a little more of Khabib let it be more of a striking match than it needed to be. No one has an answer for Khabib's wrestling. At all. No one has been able to stop it. And it is insane to watch. It is the most dominant of any fighter doing anything in the sport that I've seen. The only exception being maybe those few fights where Anderson Silva just made it look like magic.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at the totality of the career and the fact that Khabib is 24-0, I think, and has lost one round in a bunch of decisions.
That's insane.
A 4-round fight with McGregor. Khabib is quite simply put the most amazing grappler we've ever seen in MMA history, and the most dominant at one aspect of fighting that has become so effective that no one has any sort of real response to it. It's astounding and terrifying because he is this crazy Russian dude who just tells you that he wants to maul. He's just like, I want to smash, I want to maul, I want to rearrange this dude's face. I don't care. He's still not over the McGregor beef. He wants to go find McGregor in a public place with all of his friends and beat up all of McGregor's friends. In one of his most recent interviews, he said, the beef is not over because I smashed McGregor. I have to smash every person that McGregor hangs out with. It's like,
that's OD.
Christ.
That's
that
wow.
Dude has no chill.
Like, wow.
At all. Dude needs to take a break, have a beer.
Yeah.
But he's super
talk to a friend.
Islamic and does not do any of that. So he just goes and beats the shit out of people. And is amazing at it.
Yeah.
So, moving on to the challenger. Not really the challenger, the interim title holder.
Yeah.
It's a unification bout. Poirier earned his spot here through nothing but grit and determination. Dude has been in the UFC for a long time. I think he has 16 UFC wins.
Wow.
He has lost to the best in the game and defeated the best in the game. He lost to the Korean Zombie. He lost to McGregor, but then he has never lost consecutive bouts in his career, and every time has come back and looked phenomenal. 2 wins over the greatest featherweight of all time in Max Holloway. And his last win was incredibly impressive. His cardio was great. His striking was great. His strategy was great. The one thing we don't see out of the fighters that he's recently been matched up with in, your Eddie Alvarez and your Max Holloway, the one exception to this being Justin Gaethje, what we haven't seen is really good wrestlers against Poirier, which is what he's facing here in Khabib. Mm-hmm. That being said, Justin Gaethje is an amazing wrestler, but just didn't wrestle at all. He just didn't. He didn't threaten Poirier with wrestling at all. Justin Gaethje is just so in love with his leg kicks and his heavy hands that's all he does. He goes pressure, he throws leg kicks, he tries to knock you out. That's all he does these days. He's an amazing wrestler, and I think he should use it more in his game. And actually, I think that because of the fact that he's such a good wrestler, I think that Justin Gaethje is one of the most interesting matchups for Khabib that there is. Because he will walk towards Khabib, he will throw leg kicks, he has great takedown defense, and he has bombs in his hands. So that's totally different video for if that matchup happens, but that to me is one of the most fun fights. Anyway, Poirier, fantastic striker. Mm-hmm. Fantastic power.
Yeah.
Great grappling, really good submissions, has notable submission victories. Going against the greatest of all time. I mean, what do you, it's...
Like, what more could you want?
Poirier is an underdog, but he's a very live underdog.
Yeah.
I think that Khabib is pretty much unstoppable in those first couple of rounds where he has a full gas tank and can go for the takedown and just chain everything together when you're not super sweaty and slippery and you can't get out. And I think it's Khabib's fight to lose. But I think that if anybody's going to do it, man, it's going to be Poirier. That dude is, like I said, man, he is as tough as they come. Yeah. He has had some of the most entertaining fights I've ever seen. One of my favorite fights to start people off watching UFC is his fight versus the Korean Zombie. It's one of the craziest fights ever, and it ends with a really cool submission from the Korean Zombie. Unfortunately, it's a loss for Poirier, but it's still an amazing fight.
Yeah.
But his striking is fantastic. He has a lot of power. He has a lot of technique, cuts a lot of angles, has great grappling, great takedown defense, and I think that he definitely has the capacity to catch Khabib off guard in a scramble at distance, catch him with one shot, throw a knee, throw a big strike, and, throw Khabib off long enough to get him out of there. But chances are we're gonna see the most dominant fighter in modern history continue to be that.
Yeah, I mean, me personally, I follow Khabib, since we've had you on LitTube. I've found my fighters to follow, and there's no stopping, homie. Like, there's no stopping him, and I honestly don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, Poirier is a great fighter, but
phenomenal fighter.
If there's anybody that could do it, like you said, yes. He is the one, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I like Poirier against everybody but Khabib.
Yeah.
But even Poirier says that Khabib is the biggest challenge.
Everybody, and that's respect. That's known.
And it is. And that's one of the cool things about this fight. We've seen so much controversy lately, but these guys are just showing each other tons of respect.
So it's time to go to work.
And, like I said, man, Poirier is not one to be counted out and for sure has the capacity to do it.
Yeah.
He could end that fight with one strike. He could pull off a crazy submission, but Khabib is proven to be so dominant in that one way that nobody can answer it. And that's the question, is if Poirier has the answer. We're going to find out, but
I am pumped. I'm actually pumped to see what we have to say about it coming next week, because as you know, this is what we do. We talk about fights and we talk about them afterwards.
Oh, yes.
So don't forget to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Got a few other videos going this week, as well as a new project. Instagram information down below for that as well. So yeah, that does it for our show. Don't forget to, again, like I said, like and subscribe. Take care.
Preferable for me for you to record me cutting my beard like a weirdo. But you know, gotta look good on camera.
Yeah.